This special edition of One-on-One with Steve Adubato is brought to you from the Tisch WNET studios at Lincoln Center. Funding has been provided by the New Jersey Economic Development Authority, United Airlines, New Jersey Sharing Network, dedicated to saving lives through organ and tissue donation, Delta Dental of New Jersey. Everyone deserves a healthy smile. New Jersey Resources. Seton Hall University. Come see what great minds can do. Adler Aphasia Center, offering therapeutic programming for stroke and brain injury survivors with aphasia. And by St. Joseph's Health, world-class care just around the corner. Promotional support provided by bestofnj.com, all New Jersey in one place. And by Insider NJ.
This is One-on-One. I'm an equal American just like you are.
The jobs of tomorrow are not the jobs of yesterday.
Look at this. You got this?
Here it is, man. Look at it.
Life without dance is boring.
I don't care how good you are or how good you think you are, there is always something to learn.
Do you enjoy talking politics?
No.
People call me because they feel nobody's paying attention.
Our culture, I don't think, has ever been tested the way it's being tested right now.
Such a good question. High five.
Hi, I'm Steve Adubato. This is the Tisch WNET studio here in the heart of Manhattan Lincoln Center. It is our honor to introduce Mathew Knowles, founder and CEO of Music World Entertainment. Good to see you.
Hey, good morning, Steve.
When did you get fascinated by the entertainment music world?
Well, as a kid, I did. You know, I was a DJ at 12 years old. You know, I lived in the South. My parents used to go to church on Sundays and then have Sunday dinner. And then they would go and dance in a living room that we were prohibited in going to. It had the plastic over the sofa. They would dance, and I would have to put the quarter, nickel, and dime on top of the needle to make sure the vinyl didn't skip. So I finally learned a playlist and just got fascinated by music.
When did you know that you had not just one, but two daughters, Beyoncé and Solange, who are extremely talented in different ways? When did you know? Well,
Talent is one thing and a gift is another.
Is it different?
Oh, big.
Go ahead.
Big a big difference. You can develop a star through hard work, but these kids were born as stars, and they were passionate about music. That's all they wanted to do. Since they were little kids, is sing and dance. So, you know, a role of a parent is to surround your kids and give them all the tools that they need to be successful. I didn't care what they did in life. I just wanted them to be happy, wanted them to be successful.
You didn't have to push.
I didn't have to push at all. I go around the country and I say, what's the difference of knowing when your kid really is passionate is if you have to tell them to go to practice, then you know it's a hobby.
Trust me, I've been there.
Did you know?
I said, how much you love baseball? I don't want to work that hard. I get, you know. Anyway,
it's okay.
It is okay.
It's okay.
And pushing isn't always the best thing.
Yeah.
So tell us about this. By the way, Mathew has a new book coming out. Title is?
Destiny's Child, The Untold Story. And came out, actually, 2 days ago.
Okay, by the way, we're taping at the end, middle of December. Go get the book.
Oh, okay.
Go ahead.
Yes, the book is...
Right, so the book comes in, but it's got... Is there a companion album, or is it a different album?
There's an album, companion album.
What's on there?
What's on there is 16 songs of girls' time. I mean, it was eight groups before Destiny's Child. And so this is 1992. Beyonce was 11 years old. These kids went to Star Search, which is like American Idol today, and they lost. Ed McMahon was the host, and the girls are crying their eyes out. And
How'd you deal with it?
Mr. McMahon, what do I do? He says, hey, you know, all the people that continuously win on this show, they never do well professionally. He said, it's the ones that lose, that go back, rededicate, refocus, make changes. And that's what we did. I got involved. The previous managers went their way. We made changes in the girls and continue to grow. They got signed to Elektra Record, got dropped.
They got dropped.
Got dropped.
Somebody thought they didn't have it? Really?
Yeah, somebody thought they didn't have it. Then they we had talked to Columbia Records. In the middle of the audition, I told the executives, I'm sorry you came down to Houston.
Yeah.
The girls are not focused, they're not ready.
Wow.
So I killed that deal because they were too young.
You were managing, you were taking care of it at
They
the
were
time.
too young.
Right.
They were too young.
And you knew that.
And I knew that.
You know, the other thing about you, you're so candid about so many things. There are two issues I want to talk to you about. One, you've been open about the fact that you have dealt with breast cancer.
Yes, I call it male chest cancer. I don't think that's an appropriate name for men.
Why do you frame it that way?
Because it's the number one thing that keep men from going to the doctor, to getting an exam. And I can relate to opening a door that says Women Breast Center. That's an embarrassing moment. And that's the number one thing that why men don't want to go and get exam and go to the doctor for this. They're ashamed of it.
Send the message right now.
I'm sending the message.
Tell them right now what they need to do.
They need to go to the doctor immediately, not tomorrow, today, and get a mammogram and get checked.
The other thing is you've been awfully candid and put out some things that really are worth talking about, particularly around the quote-unquote colorism. Mm-hmm. Define it.
Well, colorism in a lot of countries in the world is based on the shade of color. Even if you go to Mexico, the darker-skinned Mexicans are the workers, the farmers, low income. India, same thing. It's no different in America. Even with black people, this was imposed upon us. I mean, this wasn't something we want, but during slavery, our female slaves were raped. And the shade of color of their kids were different. They were treated different on the farm. Some of them lived in a big house. And as time went on in society, even today, the lighter complexion blacks are sometimes treated differently. And that's a form of colorism.
What do we need to do, other than talk about it as candidly as you are right now?
Well, we need to do more of that, talk about it candidly. And again, this was imposed upon black women, and there's a difference there.
Does it play out in the entertainment industry even more?
It did. If you look at it and think about it, the highly successful females, not so much men, this is more female.
Yes.
You look at Mariah Carey, Beyoncé, and I can go on and on and on.
Well, I shouldn't say back in the day because she's still young and talented. Halle Berry was talked about in a certain way. That genre, if you will, or there's not one color, but you think there's long-standing discrimination against women of color depending upon the shade, the color of their skin.
But I see that changing. I see it changing in commercials. I see it changing in movies. I see a huge shift in that.
Well, we're playing catch-up.
Playing catch-up.
It's just
But
wrong.
you know, as a kid, my mother used to say to me, don't ever bring some black nappy-head girl to my home. And I talk about that in my second book, Racism from the Eyes of a Child. You know, I grew up in Gaston, Alabama in the 50s, and I never went to a black school. My mother went to high school at Coretta King, and I was always the first. One of the first in junior high, high school, University of Tennessee. And so I experienced all of this.
So it's so interesting. You don't just mean it's important conversation for all of us, but particularly important in the black community to have a candid discussion about it. Right?
And it's happening as we speak. I see more change, and I'm very proud of the change that's happening.
Well, a lot of that's because of you. The book, tell everyone the name again.
Destiny's Child, The Untold Story.
This is a story you're not going to hear anywhere else, right?
No, because nobody knows this story. You know, there's so many innuendos out there and false statements.
You got the story.
I wanted to really tell it truthfully.
I'm sorry for interrupting. You've made a decision. You want to be more their dad than you do their manager. I just want to clarify that.
Absolutely. I love the role of dad and granddad, and I'm proud to do that today.
Beautiful. And also there's an album that goes with it?
Absolutely. It's Destiny's Child, An Untold Story featuring Girls Time.
How many songs?
16.
Mathew Knowles is founder and CEO of Music World Entertainment, and you honor us by joining us here at WNET. Compelling stuff. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Steve.
Stay right there. I'm Steve Adubato. This is the Tisch WNET studio. We'll be back right after this with One on One.
To watch more One-on-One with Steve Adubato, find us online and follow us on social media.
Bill Ritter's on the air with us here at Public Television.
I was just chewing a piece of ice.
That's what we do. We'll do it live. We're live. Sorry, I didn't mean to do inside stuff like that. This is Bill Ritter. He's an anchor over at Channel 7 Eyewitness News, WABC. You can check him out at 5, 6, and 11. And on the weekends for?
Up Close, Public Affairs Politics show Sunday morning at 11 o'clock.
Terrific show.
I can see my studio from my backyard, or from your front yard here.
It's right actually behind us, but you guys are moving in a few years.
Yeah, 4.5 years or something. We're building a new, Disney's building a new WABC building for Disney and everything else down in Lower Manhattan.
But you love the Upper West Side, don't you?
And I'm going to learn to love the lower part of Manhattan. I love the Upper West Side.
Tell folks where you came from, because you had a print background.
Yes, I spent 15 years doing print, most recently. Before I came into television, I worked for the LA Times. And they said, why are you going to television? I said, well, I'm going to do something maybe that I could fail at. Why not give it a shot? I was almost 37. And I thought, why not give it a shot, something I tried. And they said, television, this is the LA Times, it's going to be around forever. Yeah. And it is around, and it's making a comeback, and it's doing good work, but it took a long time to get there, and newspapers have not had great, not all newspapers have done well in the last 30 years.
Bill and I have lots of conversations on the air and off, and one of the things we're very focused on, not selfishly, but hopefully for the larger good, is the state of media and journalism. Here's the question. Social media. You're actively engaged. One of the things that always strikes me about you...
with this thing?
Yeah, that thing. But one of the things that strikes me about you and following you on Twitter and other social media platforms is you attempt to engage in the most civil, respectful dialogue, particularly with people who disagree on the issues. Why, long-winded question, Bill, why is it so difficult for so many of us who are obsessed with being respectful and civil to have respectful and civil conversations with people who see the world politically differently? Why is that so hard?
It's a great question, and now I'm reevaluating after your question whether I should do that. I think at the heart, without sounding sappy, at the heart of it is that I believe that people can get along, and that we don't necessarily have to embrace the fact that we have these differences that outweigh the things we have in common, because they don't. We have more in common than the differences we have. And I think when you sit down, whether you break bread with someone or have a glass of wine or have a cup of coffee, whatever it is, or engage them and say, tell me why you feel like this, and let me offer this, and you tell me why you feel like that, and try to change my world. I think if you do that, you tend to get to the core of things and realize that, this person isn't as different as you are, and maybe they have a value in what they're saying. I was raised at a place, I just posted this on Thanksgiving when I had to work, and I said, and then see my family, I said, I remember these family gatherings as times when you sit down and you state your case and you make your point, and... Today? No.
Why did I avoid these subjects with my family and friends throughout Thanksgiving? Why did I do that?
I don't. But
you don't?
I don't, but I think most Americans do, because it's just too sensitive. We have gotten into this place, and the hearings this week... By the way,
we're taping in early in December. It's going on right now. You'll be seeing it after as well.
The hearings that we saw in early December...
It doesn't matter. Go ahead.
I know about taping shows, but we saw this in the hearings where all of a sudden everyone goes to their corners. Without actually getting the facts and listening to the facts and hearing the truth and searching for the truth, wherever it may fall. And I just think we have gotten a situation where we go to our corners first and figure out how to meet in the center later.
Is it worse than it's ever been?
There's no question. There's
no doubt.
No question.
Is it too easy to blame Donald Trump?
That's a really good question. I think, rather than blame, I think that Trump has taken advantage of it and exploited it in a way that no one else has before. So I don't blame him. I blame us. I blame every one of us who is engaging in it. But there's no question that he is engaged in it in a different way than anyone else in public life has ever been.
He's good at He's good at making it personal. You don't make it personal. We at public television are obsessed with not making it personal, but on the issues, substantive conversation.
I'm not sure he's good at it. I think he's effective at it.
What's the difference?
Well, I don't want to put a good, evil value judgment on it. I think that he is effective. Yeah. I think he's effective at it. He's very shrewd at it.
Did you know him back in the day?
I met him. I met him, and I interviewed him once or twice, for little things for 2020 and everything else. And, he's Donald Trump, just like everyone else who's seen him around.
Yeah, but here's the difference. And again, public television is not our job to express our views here, but I will ask you this, and I've asked most of our friends in journalism and media, when the president says we are, quote, fake media, and further, we are the enemy of the people, you think and feel and say what?
The first thing I do is not take it personally. I do not take it personally, and if I start to lean like that, I say I'm not taking this personally, because we can't. We just can't. It will skew everything, and it's not what we're supposed to be doing. The other thing I think of is George Orwell, and I think that it's just very dangerous when you have a person in that position to say the people who are reporting the news and who are journalists and who, like a baseball player doesn't hit a ball every time. It sometimes strikes out and makes mistakes, which is the worst, worst feeling in the world if you make a mistake on air. If you said something right now that wasn't true, you're going to feel like poop. There's no question about it, I know.
But I would try to own it.
And try to own it, and you try to correct it.
And I've seen you do it as well.
And you have to. Our goal is to report facts and seek the truth wherever they fall. And for someone to say that is scary to me.
Not
as
just
a person.
someone.
Yeah. When the President of the United States says the media is the enemy of the people, I think it's scary. And not just scary, and I don't want to necessarily go here, but I'm Jewish. I went and visited a couple weeks ago the Holocaust Museum, the Jewish Museum for Jewish Heritage, with the Auschwitz Never Forget exhibit. And we can't let that. We cannot go down that road. We cannot accept that as a democracy. Professionally, not personally. I'm not going to get angry. We cannot accept that as a democracy. The people of this country can. And I believe that people who are journalists, who are really engaged in trying to find the facts, who are not tied to a political party, that's an honorable part of defending and protecting this democracy. We can't take it personally. We just have to keep doing our job. But as a person, scares the heck out of me.
Check out, Bill, by the way, the Be Kind campaign that you and your colleagues are involved in over there, connected to this entire discussion, right?
I think so. We started it. I
Hashtag Be Kind.
Hashtag Be Kind. Hashtag Be Kind. And
Love it.
we started it October. I proposed it October 1st of 2018. And we started it on February 1st, 2019. We've got enormous response. I just am so proud and pleased at what this station has done by embracing it. And the list of successes and not in order necessarily. We have sponsors. We have people who send us stuff. People send videos and pictures of people doing kind things. And you know who else loves it, Steve? It's the cynical old producers that do our shows with a lot of crime and blah, 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 blah. They love it.
They love it.
It breaks it up and it says, you know what? We are capable of being good.
I'm a student of leadership. That's leadership, taking the initiative and making it happen. Catch Bill at 5, 6, and 11, right across the street over at Eyewitness News, WABC. Thank you, and also up close on the weekends. Thank you, buddy.
Pleasure as always,
Steve.
Steve.
What you're doing.
Thank you for the questions.
It's One-on-One. I'm Steve Adubato. We'll be right back.
To watch more One-on-One with Steve Adubato, find us online and follow us on social media.
There he is, Tony Scott, chief film critic. A little publication called The New York Times. Still the gray lady, last time I checked. Author of Better Living Through Criticism. How you doing?
I'm doing well. Seen a lot of movies. How about you?
I've seen one movie I want to talk about and get it out of the way right away.
Okay.
Where we're taping us at the end of 2019. You'll see in 2020. The Irishman.
I had a feeling. I had a hunch you were gonna go there.
I told you I saw it in the theater.
Yep.
Then I saw it at home on Netflix. My wife, Jen, I know you're watching. You fell asleep. Your wife did too.
Twice.
6 breaks you took. Movies, theater, or at home?
Well, I saw it both ways, and I like the movies. I like going to the movies.
Same here.
The reason I'm a film critic is because I love to go to the movies, and I was trying to find a way to do that as much as I can. And I like going into the big dark space with strangers, with friends, and also just the way that you have to pay attention, and the screen is bigger than life, and you're there and you're committed for a few hours. You can't take breaks. You'll miss it. It'll keep going. So it makes it kind of special. It makes it communal. But this movie worked pretty well at home too. I mean, you have to focus. You have to pay attention. It moves slowly. It's long. It's very quiet. It's not a kind of bang bang shoot 'em up gangster movie.
So when excuse me for interrupting, when my wife said, "Hey, this is too slow," you're thinking, "This is amazing."
I love slow.
That's what I was thinking.
It's like they're driving in the car. They're driving on the turnpike.
Russell Buffalino and Sheeran and Buffalino. Go ahead.
Sheeran and Buffalino. Joe Pesci and Robert De Niro. I mean, who wouldn't want to be in that car?
And the two women in the back seats got to take a smoking break.
Right, they take
That's
a smoking
fascinating.
break. And they have to change a tire, and they stop at a Howard Johnson's, and it's just it could have been twice as long.
Cornflakes. What do you mean, cornflakes in the morning? I'm sorry.
Exactly. And he's making a salad in the back, and then and just also the end of that movie in the kitchen, in the kitchen of the restaurant, and also the end after the thing that's happened.
Are you going to screw it up for people?
No.
Okay.
The thing. I mean, it was a joke. I said in my review. I said everybody dies, which is just that's the spoiler of life, not the spoiler of the movie.
Jimmy Hoffa didn't die. Oh yeah, that's right.
They're all, at the end of the movie, the De Niro character has outlived everyone, and he's
Frank
Sheeran, and he's shopping for a coffin, and he says this thing that stuck with me the second time. He's talking about how he wants to be buried, and he says, "Well, I want to be buried. Don't want to be cremated. I don't want to be buried above the ground. I want to be buried in the crypt, in the coffin, because that way, even though you're still dead, it's not as final."
It's not as final.
And this is a guy who knows more about death than his whole life. He makes a living.
I remember
putting people in the ground, and he said it's not as final.
Am I incorrect in thinking while they're all terrific in their own way? I interviewed Joe Pesci a couple times. Search our website, you'll see them. They're not great interviews, trust me. That I thought he was absolutely spectacular as Russell Buffalino.
I thought it was an extraordinary performance, and I thought because. Joe Pesci, I mean, we haven't seen him in movies for a while. He's been mostly out of movies for almost 20 years. But we think about him in Goodfellas, in My Cousin Vinny, in Home Alone, as this very kind of, antic, mischievous, energetic guy, and very volatile and very violent, am I funny? Do I amuse you? All of those moments. And in a way, this performance is playing, like he knows that we expect that. He knows that we're waiting for that eruption, and it never comes. And he's so quiet, and he's so calm, and it's so terrifying. Like there's a scene, where they go in to sort of to collect protection money from a business along the route, and he's talking to the guy who runs the business about his son, and he's like, "Your son, you ought to talk to him. He doesn't raise his voice. He doesn't get mad." And it's the most terrifying thing.
The father understands.
The father understands.
He better talk to this kid.
He better talk to them, or the kid is dead. And
I know
that.
Oh boy. All right, I'll do other movies. All right. What you got? The movies of the decade, movies of the year. What do you got?
Yeah, I got so many lists. This is the time of year where all they want from us is lists. So let's see if I can even remember my own lists. The movies of the decade. We did a thing.
Want me to prompt you?
Sure. My fellow chief critic Manola Dargis and I made a list of sort of what we thought were the most influential or important, not necessarily our favorites, but of the last decade, the movies that kind of made a difference, that affected either the film industry or audiences.
Are you ready?
Yeah.
Sorry for I got 30 seconds on each. Ready? American Sniper.
Well, American Sniper was a very popular movie. It was Clint Eastwood, Bradley Cooper, true story, and it was kind of a movie that shows that there's this idea of liberal Hollywood, and it showed that there's an audience, and there are filmmakers, notably Clint Eastwood, who don't necessarily fit that pigeonhole, that definition.
Yeah, I saw him at the Republican convention.
Yeah, no,
I digress.
He's a great filmmaker too.
Wife and I love, and our kid, Bridesmaids.
Bridesmaids was a breakout movie. Bridesmaids kind of changed the conversation about women and comedy, and how women could be funny, and how women could be as vulgar and silly and raunchy.
And the scene in the street?
Yes, the scene
with the
street
wedding dress?
Yes.
Spectacular.
Changed American cinema forever.
Real quick, The Avengers?
Well, The Avengers was the thing that, no, I mean, it's not my favorite.
It doesn't mean it's your thing.
No.
Influential.
Right, influential. And it did, I mean, it was the movie that, Disney had taken over Marvel Studios, and it was the thing that really consolidated this Marvel Cinematic Universe, where you have these movies coming out, they're all kind of the same, but they make tons of money, they play around the globe. They make Martin Scorsese mad, and some of us critics too, but...
I got to do this because I hate that we got time issues,
That's all right.
Scorsese didn't have that. That's why it's 8 hours. No, I'm joking. Your favorites this year?
This year, well, The Irishman was up there. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, the Quentin Tarantino
I enjoyed
movie.
it.
Really wonderful movie. Really,
I enjoyed
really,
it. Brad
really good
Pitt.
movie.
Terrific.
Amazing.
Sorry.
Marriage Story, Noah Baumbach's movie about a couple getting divorced. Adam Driver and Scarlett Johansson. Really a tough movie. I mean, a movie about people kind of going through the breakup of a marriage that doesn't pull any punches. But it's just it's.
Give me one more.
Great.
One more.
One more. Let's see. I'm always drawing a blank. Okay, here's one that's a little.
A few seconds. Go. Come on.
Honeyland, a documentary about a beekeeper in Macedonia. This is the true New York Times Film Critic art movie. Amazing movie.
What's it
I
again?
promise you. Honeyland. Look for it. Watch it.
That's why he's Tony Scott. He's the chief film critic, New York Times. Thank you so much.
My pleasure.
That was fun.
Yeah, it was great.
Yeah,
Good talking with you.
Not you, the movie. We'll see you next time.
One-on-One with Steve Adubato has been a production of the Caucus Educational Corporation. This special edition of One-on-One with Steve Adubato is brought to you from the Tisch WNET studios at Lincoln Center. Funding has been provided by the New Jersey Economic Development Authority, United Airlines, New Jersey Sharing Network, Delta Dental of New Jersey Resources, Seton Hall University, Adler Aphasia Center, and by St. Joseph's Health. Promotional support provided by bestofnj.com and by Insider NJ. Transportation provided by Airbrook Limousine, serving the metropolitan New York, New Jersey area.
Autism is one of the fastest growing developmental disorders in the U.S. Here in New Jersey, 1 in every 41 children is diagnosed with autism. And when a child is diagnosed with autism, every member of the family is affected. While there currently is no cure for autism, early detection and intervention can offer critical improvements for the child and tremendous benefits for the family. To learn more about autism, contact the Binder Autism Center at St. Joseph's Children's Hospital.